Fauci says there are 5 stages of the COVID pandemic, and we are still in phase 1.
Oh, no.
I don't know what else you want me to say, guys. That's it. He says the first phase of the pandemic, or the truly pandemic, according to Fauci, is where the world is really very negatively impacted. The following 4 steps are deceleration, control, elimination, and finally eradication. Here are the characteristics, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so he's basically saying, get ready. It's not going to end.
He's like, hey, everything that my career is based on is going to be around for a while, just so you know. With the COVID pandemic goes away, Fauci goes away, and he knows it. I've never even heard of the guy until this thing appeared.
I mean, people in the 80s knew who he was.
I guess, yeah.
Well, I'm just like, I look at this and it's like, all this says to me is that the government failed. Despite all of their efforts and all of their claims of certainty that they knew exactly what to do to fix it, here we are. And this is just like an advertisement against government policy to me, to see this guy just saying, no, this is as far as we've gotten. And despite all of this, no, we're still in stage 1.
It's been 2 years and we're still in stage 1.
It's 2 weeks.
Give us more power. You can trust us.
2 weeks to slow the spread. But there's some good news here. There's some really good news here because this is Dr. Fauci saying it. The guy flip-flops and is wrong on almost everything, which means he's probably wrong about this as well, which means we're probably closer to the end than the actual starting point. But for, again, Fauci, a lot of invested interest. He's one of the few bureaucrats that actually makes more money from his side hustles than he does from his government job. His government job pays him more than any other bureaucrat in Washington, D.C., so he's making a lot of money. There was recent financial transactions that were released showing that he has at least $10 million in assets. And this is a man who's been working for the government almost his entire life. Where has those millions of dollars come from? Well, of course, those are important questions that a lot of people should be asking. He has a lot of connections to a lot of very powerful individuals. And of course, as we know, everything that the United States has been involved in has been a big business against the American people. But how do you see this kind of unfolding, Carrie? How do you see this COVID landscape, this Dr. Fauci landscape moving from this particular moment in time?
Honestly, I mean, it's just my opinion. I thought Hillary Clinton was going to win in 2016. So, take it for what it's worth. But being from Los Angeles and having spent a lot of the pandemic there, I think it's going to be very difficult for the federal government, even for state governments, local governments, to keep enforcing this because people are burned out. And Los Angeles was one of the most compliant places in the country, as far as I could tell. And it's policy-wise and just the people in general. But even like at this point, there are they can't do it anymore. They're sick of it. Even people who got vaccinated and now they feel that they were misled. I don't want to say lied to because sure, the science changed, but there are people who feel that even though they followed all of these protocols, they followed all the policies, they obeyed, they did what they were told to be good people, and still it hasn't been resolved. I'm telling you, Los Angeles is such a liberal place. And I left for 6 weeks in the fall and I came back and there was way less compliance. Like there were people in stores not wearing masks and nobody said anything. Whereas before I left, that you didn't see that. That wasn't a thing. And I know that people are burned out because of what I'm seeing in Los Angeles, where it's heavily liberal and people really had good intentions about stopping the spread of the pandemic and doing everything they could to end it. I have a friend who got vaccinated and now he's being told, well, actually it doesn't work. You have to get another. And he's not doing it because he felt he did it for the sake of doing his part and stopping the spread.
Bill Maher said the same thing. Took one for the team and now they're not going to convince him to do it again. But the problem is if you trust the science and if the official narrative is the statements from the CDC and all that is you need to get your booster, then who are you to challenge the system? If you're doing your part, why would you stop now? Now, I will always stress, get your advice from trusted medical professionals. Don't look at me about it. But I will add, one of my favorite memes is Fauci as Vader saying, I have altered the science. Pray I don't alter it further.
Yeah.
Dude, the point of this is never to eradicate the virus. From the day one, it was to slow the spread in 15 days so that we don't overload the hospitals. End of story. Let the thing run its course. Don't overload the hospitals. That was the plan. Not this 5-point thing where number 5 is eradication of the virus. This isn't polio.
Right. And it's weird because I remember that talking point. It was we have to not overwhelm hospitals. And I'm looking at this just as I'm looking at this article. And it's like you guys have had 2 years and you haven't been able to get hospitals the resources they need. And I'm still supposed to take your advice and listen to you. Not even advice, commands. I'm supposed to obey your commands when you couldn't even solve the initial problem that all of this was for. And you've had all this time.